What happens next is a story of romance, comedy, adventure, and intrigue. But above it all is a story of how God protects those who are faithful to Him and shapes one ordinary man with faith into a future leader of His people.
After Rachel had told her father Laban about Jacob, Laban hurried and came to meet Jacob. When he saw Jacob, he hugged him and kissed him like a long-lost relative. And then Jacob told him about what had been happening with his family. Jacob stayed and worked for Laban without receiving payment for a whole month. During this time, Jacob fell in love with Rachel. Laban had 2 daughters. Leah was the older one. She had weak eyes. But Rachel, the younger one, was beautiful and had a lovely figure. Laban said to Jacob,
"Tell me, what should I pay you for working here?"
I will work for you 7 years if you will give me Rachel to be my wife.
"It is better for me to let her marry you rather than some other man. Okay, stay here and work for me."
So Jacob worked for Laban for 7 years. But time seemed to pass by very quickly for Jacob. When he had finished working for 7 years, he said to his uncle Laban,
Let me marry Rachel now. I have done what I promised for her.
Laban invited all the people of the place and gave a big feast. But when evening came, he took his daughter Leah and gave her to Jacob. He also gave his servant girl Zilpah to his daughter as her maidservant. Jacob lay with his wife, not realizing it was Leah. When morning came, then he saw that it was Leah. Jacob said to Laban,
What is this that you have done to me? I served you for Rachel, didn't I? Why have you deceived me?
It is not our custom to give the younger daughter in marriage before the older one. Finish this daughter's bridal week. Then we will let you marry the younger one also. But in return, you have to work for another 7 years.
So Jacob did it. He completed the week with Leah, and then Laban gave him Rachel to be his wife. Laban also gave Bilhah to his daughter to be her maidservant. Jacob lay with Rachel also, and he loved Rachel more than Leah. He worked for Laban for another 7 years. The Lord saw that Jacob loved Rachel and did not love Leah as much. So he let Leah bear him children. Leah bore 4 sons for Jacob. They were Reuben, Simeon, Levi, and Judah. Rachel was not able to have children and became very jealous of her sister. When Rachel saw that she was not bearing Jacob any children, she gave him her servant Bilhah as a wife to bear children on her behalf. Bilhah bore 2 sons for Jacob. Their names were Dan and Naphtali. Then Leah also gave her maidservant Zilpah to Jacob as wife. Zilpah bore him 2 sons, named Gad and Asher. Then Leah bore another 2 sons, named Issachar and Zebulun, and finally a daughter named Dinah. Then God remembered Rachel. He listened to her and opened her womb. She became pregnant and gave birth to a son. After Rachel gave birth to Joseph, Jacob said to Laban,
Send me on my way so that I can go back to my own homeland. Give me my wives and children, for whom I have served you.
Laban offered to pay Jacob in livestock if he stayed. He did his best to cheat Jacob, but whatever he did made no difference, because God continued to protect and bless Jacob. In this way, Jacob grew exceedingly prosperous and came to own large flocks and men servants and maidservants.
Now it was time for him to return to the land of Canaan. The covenant promise first given to Abraham and then passed on to Isaac was now soon to be handed over to him. But before that could take place, Jacob had to return to the promised land to meet his father and settle his differences with Esau, his brother. God protects and blesses Jacob. His uncle's attempts to trick Jacob ends up with him becoming more wealthy. Jacob also learns to be more hardworking and trusts in God.